So hey guys, so welcome to another Warframe video where today we're going to take a quick look at the Incarnon Prisma Angstrum. You can get the Incarnon Genesis adapter for the Angstrum from the Steel Path version of the circuit game mode. Once you have the adapter and the Angstrum of course, you can take them over to Cavalero in the Chrysalith to combine them. This does require some additional resources though. You will also need 20 Pathos Clamps which you get from the Autoworm boss fight, 70 Uyamag which grows in Kullervo's Hold or in the Deserty section of the Paradox, as well as 80 Lamentus which drops from enemies in the Paradox. This allows you to evolve the weapon and it unlocks its Incarnon mode. You build the Incarnon meter by headshotting enemies, and once you have any level of charge you can press the secondary fire button to activate it. In this mode the weapon becomes fully automatic, does pure heat damage, and it shoots fireballs that bounce around. Now while it might seem a little bit strange that the weapon requires headshots to build its Incarnon meter because it's an explosive weapon that doesn't have very good accuracy, it's actually not too bad once you get used to it. Plus, it builds its Incarnon meter very fast, with you occasionally being able to build the entire meter with just a single shot, even if you don't charge the shot at all, because just in case you don't know, with the Angstrum you can hold the fire button to load more rounds to be fired all at once. It just takes a bit of getting used to, but once you get used to it, you can basically sit in Incarnon mode all the time. And finally, before you can take advantage of the evolutions and the benefits that those provide, you're gonna have to do a few things with the Angstrum. So first of all, you're gonna have to finish a solo mission with the Angstrum, then you're gonna have to kill 100 enemies with this Incarnon mode, and finally you're gonna have to kill 30 enemies with at least 4 status effects on them. The evolution options on the Prisma are relatively tame. The first choice for you is going to be between Heaven 4A, which gives you base damage and then extra base damage if you have Overshield on your frame, and Paladin Virtue, which once again gives base damage but then extra crib multiplier if your Warframe has more than 700 max energy. The second choice is between Swift Deliverance for extra projectile speed, Rapid Reinforcements for faster reloading, and Hitman's Horde for extra ammo capacity. And for the final evolution you have a choice between Critical Parallel for a bit of extra crit chance and crit damage, Survivor's Edge for crit chance and status chance, and Fatal Affliction for more direct damage per status type affecting the enemy. I ended up going with a combination of Paladin Virtue because it provides more base damage by default, and I'm not very likely to get either of the two additional benefits because I just don't run Warframes that would get them. Swift Deliverance for extra projectile speed, mainly for the Incarnon mode, and then Survivor's Edge for crit and status chance. For the build, I ended up going with a pretty straightforward hybrid, so I have Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot, Prime Target Cracker for crit damage, Frostbite and Pistol Pestilence for vital and status, Sure Shot for even more status, Prime Heated Charge for a ton of heat, Creeping Bullseye for a ton of crit chance, and then Lethal Torrent for a bit more multi-shot and some extra fire rate. I'm also running Pistol Ammo Mutation unranked because you don't really need to mutate that much ammo, but it's always nice to be able to mutate ammo for an explosive weapon, and I'm running Secondary Merciless for the stacking damage and reload speed. Now as far as the damage goes, it's okay as far as Incarnon weapons are concerned. It will absolutely rip through the regular star chart, and it's able to do most Steel Path missions as well. It just doesn't have a ton of single target, so if you run into a beefy Eximus, something like a Heavy Gunner, Bombard, that kind of stuff, at around level 140, 150, it's gonna take you a while to take them down. So yeah, when compared to the other Incarnon guns, the damage is definitely on the lower end. But that doesn't mean the weapon is bad, it's actually quite fun. I was actually surprised at how much fun I had with this. Because just in case you don't know, the Angstrum used to be one of the most ridiculous weapons in the entire game. The Prisma Angstrum specifically, because it did so much damage, it was almost unusable, like genuinely borderline unusable when self-damage was still in the game. Because thanks to the amount of damage it did and the projectile spread, you were just as likely to one-shot yourself as you were any of the enemies you were aiming at, so almost no one ever used it. So seeing it actually, work in Steel Path and actually be quite fun is very nice. Don't get me wrong though, I would not prioritize this over, I would say, most of the other Incarnon weapons, because I would much rather have something like the Lex, the Boltor, the Boar, Torrid, or even the Paris. So overall, I think it's worth picking up at some point. It's pretty fun to use, it does solid enough damage to do the majority of Steel Path relatively well, and it builds Incarnon meter very fast. It's just that, as I've said already, I would not prioritize it over most of the other Incarnon weapons. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful. I would like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate it. And if you would like to become a channel member as well, you can check out the memberships and stuff down below. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.